The Christmas lights blinked softly in the corner of the living room, throwing tiny colored flecks across the walls like scattered jewels. The tree stood tall and proud, decorated exactly the way I had done it every year for the past 35. Christmases, silver tinsel, red glass balls, the same crooked star Marcus had made in 3rd grade, still sitting at the very top. The smell of roasted turkey, cinnamon, and brown sugar still hung heavy in the air. Platters sat half empty on the long table, golden mac and cheese with the crispy top my nieces always fought over, candied sweet potatoes glistening under the chandelier, collard greens simmered with smoked turkey neck, cornbread still warm in the cast-iron skillet. Everything looked perfect, the kind of perfect you see in holiday movies right before the big dramatic twist. I was sitting at the head of the table, in the chair that used to belong to my late husband, the one with the cracked leather cushion. I never bothered to replace, because it still felt like his shape. My plate was mostly untouched. At 70, I don't eat as much as I used to, especially not when tension is already twisting my stomach into knots. Tasha stood up. She didn't raise her voice at first. That was the worst part. How calm she sounded, how reasonable, how concerned, like she was doing everyone a favor by speaking. "I think it's time we addressed something," she said, folding her arms under her chest. The red velvet dress she wore caught the light and made her look almost regal, in front of the whole family. "Because secrets have been poisoning this house for too long." Marcus, my only son, was already standing beside her. He hadn't said a word yet, but his jaw was locked so tight I could see the muscle jumping under his skin. His eyes, those same deep brown eyes I used to kiss goodnight when he was 5, were fixed on me like I was a stranger who had broken into his home. Tasha took one small step forward. "Ida," she said sweetly, "you've been telling people, neighbors, church members, even some of Marcus's co-workers, that I've been sleeping my way up the ladder at work. That I only got my promotion because I was intimate with Mr. Harrison." A few gasps rippled around the table. My sister Ellie's fork froze halfway to her mouth. My brother-in-law Leonard coughed into his napkin. The younger ones, Simone, Darius, Chloe, looked between us like they were watching live theater. I felt heat climb up my neck, but I kept my face still. Tasha continued, voice dropping into something almost tender. "You told them I was the reason Marcus didn't get his promotion last quarter. That I sabotaged him on purpose. That I've been trying to push you out of this house so I can have Marcus all to myself." She paused, letting the words settle like poison. "And the worst part? You did it all while pretending to be the sweet, sacrificing mother-in-law, smiling in our faces, cooking our meals, while secretly tearing our lives apart." Marcus finally spoke. His voice cracked on the first word. "Mom, is any of this true?" I looked at him, really looked. The boy I raised alone after his father walked out. The boy I cleaned houses for, skipped meals for, cried myself to sleep over when fevers wouldn't break. That same boy was staring at me now like I was capable of destroying his marriage and his career out of jealousy. I opened my mouth to answer. Before a single sound came out, Marcus snatched the broom that had been leaning against the wall since I swept the kitchen floor earlier. He held it in both hands like a baseball bat. The wooden handle gleamed under the lights. "Tell the truth," he said. His voice was low, shaking. "Right now, in front of everyone. Confess what you did." The room went deathly quiet. I could hear the Christmas tree lights clicking as they changed. Color, red, green, blue, red again. My heart was beating so hard it felt like it would bruise my ribs. 70 years old. I had never once raised my hand to my child. Never once screamed at him in public. Never once let him see me break completely. And now he was standing over me with a broom handle, eyes bloodshot, waiting for me to beg. Tasha placed one manicured hand on his shoulder. "Baby," she murmured, "she needs to own it. For healing to start." That was the moment something inside me shifted. Not anger exactly, something colder, clearer, final. I had spent decades swallowing words. Swallowing disrespect. Swallowing humiliation so my son could have peace in his marriage. So the family could stay whole. No more. Without saying anything, I pushed my chair back slowly. The legs scraped across the hardwood. Everyone watched. Marcus lowered the broom handle an inch, confused. I walked past him, close enough that I could smell the aftershave he still used, the same brand his father used to wear. I went to the coffee table where the TV remote lay next to the bowl of peppermints. My fingers were shaking so badly I almost dropped it, but I didn't. I pressed the power button. The big flat screen flickered to life. Someone, maybe Simone, gasped softly. I opened the photo app on my phone with trembling thumbs. Found the hidden folder I'd password protected months ago and cast the screen. No explanation, no warning, Just the truth. The video started. Grainy at first because I had filmed it from across the street, half hidden behind a parked SUV, but clear enough. Tasha in a scarlet dress I had never seen her wear at home. Hair loose and glossy, makeup flawless, laughing in a way she never laughed with Marcus. Across from her at the candlelit table sat Mr. Harrison, tall, silver-haired, the same man who had repeatedly promised my son the regional manager position and then given it to someone else at the last minute. Mr. Harrison reached across the table. Tasha slid her hand into his, then he leaned in. They kissed, not a polite peck, a slow, deep, familiar kiss, the kind that leaves no room for misunderstanding. Tasha smiled against his mouth afterward. She touched his cheek, whispered something that made him chuckle low in his throat. The camera shook because my hands had been trembling that day too, but it captured everything. The restaurant, the candlelight, the red dress, the kiss, the caress, the intimacy. When the clip ended, I didn't stop it from looping. I just stood there, holding the remote like a weapon. Marcus dropped the broom. It hit the floor with a hollow clatter. He stared at the screen, mouth slightly open, breathing shallow and fast. Tasha went white, completely bloodless. She lunged toward the television. No, this is fake. She edited it. She's obsessed. She hates me. Simone stepped in front of the screen, arms crossed. Move, Tasha hissed. Simone didn't budge. My sister Ellie rose slowly from her chair. She walked over and stood beside me. She didn't speak. She didn't have to. Her hand rested lightly on my shoulder. The first time anyone had touched me in support all evening. Tasha spun toward Marcus. Baby, listen to me. She's lying. She's trying to destroy us. Marcus didn't look at her. He was still staring at the frozen frame on the screen. Tasha's lips on another man's. How long? He whispered. His voice sounded like it came from very far away. Tasha started crying, big, theatrical tears. It was one time. He pursued me. I was scared of losing my job. I spoke for the first time since the video started. My voice was quiet, steady. I also have the messages. I opened my phone again. The screenshots I had taken when Tasha accidentally left her phone unlocked on my kitchen counter 6 months earlier. I began reading aloud, not dramatically, just factually. October 14th. I can't wait until he's finally gone. You make me feel alive, Harrison. Marcus is comfortable. That's all. November 3rd. He still thinks the promotion is coming. Poor thing. He works so hard for nothing. December 9th. I told him his mother is the problem. That she's jealous and toxic. He's starting to agree. Soon she'll be out of the picture and it'll just be us. I stopped after the last one. The room was so silent, I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. Tasha collapsed onto the nearest chair. Her sobs were real now, ugly, choking, panicked. Marcus turned toward her slowly. His face looked 20 years older. Is it true? He asked. She couldn't even look at him. Marcus closed his eyes. When he opened them again, something had died behind them. He looked at me. For a long moment, he just looked. Then he said the 4 words I never thought I would hear from my own child's mouth. I'm so sorry, Mama. His voice broke completely on the last word. Tasha tried to stand. I'm not leaving like this. I deserve to explain. Ellie stepped forward. Her voice was steel. You need to leave. Right now. Pack what you can carry and get out of this house. Tasha looked around wildly, searching for an ally. No one met her eyes. Even the teenagers were staring at the floor. Marcus spoke again, barely above a whisper. Don't come back. Tasha stood frozen for maybe 10 seconds. Then she walked, stiff-legged, mascara streaking, toward the guest bedroom where she kept some of her things. We all listened to drawers opening, a suitcase zipper, hangers clattering. When she reappeared, she had a small roller bag and her purse. She paused at the front door. She looked straight at me. You're going to regret this, she said. I met her gaze calmly. No, I said. I really won't. She slammed the door so hard a picture frame rattled on the wall. Silence rushed back in. Marcus sank onto the sofa. He put his head in his hands. His shoulders began to shake. No one knew what to say. The Christmas tree lights kept blinking. Red, green, blue, like nothing had happened. But everything had. The house felt different when I woke up the next morning. It wasn't just the silence, though the silence was deafening after last night's chaos. It was the way the light came through the curtains. Pale, hesitant, like it wasn't sure it was welcome. The Christmas tree still stood in the corner. Lights unplugged now, ornaments dull without electricity. The table hadn't been cleared. Turkey bones sat congealed in gravy. Mac and cheese hardened into a yellow brick. Sweet potato pie sweating under plastic wrap. The smell had turned sour overnight, the way hope does when it's left out too long. I stayed in bed longer than usual. My body ached, not from age, though 70 years had certainly earned me that right, but from the tension that had clamped every muscle the night before. My shoulders felt like someone had driven nails into them. My jaw was sore from clenching my teeth through Tasha's accusations, through Marcus raising that broom handle, through the moment I pressed play on the video and watched everything. I had protected for months shatter in front of the family. I finally pushed the covers back and sat on the edge of the mattress. The wrinkled Christmas dress from last night was still on me, the velvet crushed, the sequins catching faint morning light like dying stars. I didn't change right away. I just sat there breathing, listening to the house settle around me. Marcus's bedroom door was closed when I finally stepped into the hallway. I didn't knock. I wasn't ready to see his face yet. Not the broken one from last night. Not the guilty one I knew would be waiting this morning. I went straight to the kitchen instead. The dishes were exactly where we'd left them. I started with the plates, scraping leftovers into the trash, running hot water until steam rose and fogged the window above the sink. It was automatic work. My hands knew every motion. Rinse, scrub, stack. 70 years of mornings just like this one. Except this one felt final somehow. I was halfway through the silverware when I heard his footsteps on the stairs. Slow. Heavy, like each step cost him something. He stopped in the doorway. I didn't turn around right away. "Morning," he said. His voice was hoarse, raw from crying or not sleeping or both. "Morning," I answered, still focused on the forks. He came further into the room but didn't sit. He just stood there, hands in his pockets, shoulders hunched. "You sleep okay?" he asked. I almost laughed. Almost. "Enough," I said. A long pause. "I didn't," he admitted quietly. "Not even close." I rinsed the last spoon, set it in the drainer, wiped my hands on the dish towel that had hung on the same hook for 15 years. Finally I turned. He looked worse than I expected. Eyes swollen, skin sallow. The same clothes from last night, button-down wrinkled, collar open. He hadn't shaved. A shadow of beard darkened his jaw. He looked smaller somehow, like the man who had threatened me with a broom handle had shrunk overnight. He tried to meet my eyes but couldn't hold it. His gaze dropped to the floor. "Mama!" His voice cracked on the word. "I don't even know where to start." "You don't have to start anywhere right now," I said. "Not if you're not ready." He shook his head. "No, I need to. I need to say it before I lose the courage." I leaned back against the counter, arms folded loosely, waiting. He took a shaky breath. "I believed her," he said. "All of it. Every lie she told about you. Every time she said you were jealous, that you were trying to come between us, that you hated her. I believed it. I let her convince me you were the problem. And last night," his voice broke again, "I raised that broom at you. My own mother. I was ready to, God, I don't even know. Scare you? Hurt you? I don't know what I was thinking. But I did it. And I can't take that back." Tears slipped down his cheeks. He didn't wipe them away. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I'm so damn sorry." I watched him cry for a long moment. Part of me, the mother part that had spent decades soothing every hurt, wiping every tear, wanted to cross the room and hold him like he was 5 again. But another part, the part that had finally spoken last night, held me still. "I know you're sorry," I said quietly. "I can see it. But sorry doesn't erase years, Marcus. It doesn't erase the nights. I lay awake wondering why my son looked at me like I was invisible. It doesn't erase the times Tasha said cruel things to my face and you stayed silent. It doesn't erase the broom handle." He flinched like I'd slapped him. "I know," he said. "I know." I sighed, pushed off the counter, walked to the table and began stacking the cold plates. He moved to help. I didn't stop him. We worked in silence for a while, scraping, rinsing, loading the dishwasher. Familiar motions, safe motions. When the table was finally clear, I poured 2 cups of coffee. Black for me, 2 sugars and cream for him, the way he'd liked it since he was 16. I set his cup in front of him. He wrapped both hands around it, like it was the only thing keeping him warm. "I kept that video for months," I said finally. "I didn't want to use it. I hoped I never would, but I couldn't let her keep destroying you and me without proof." He nodded slowly. "How did you even—" I sat across from him. "Remember that Tuesday in October? I went downtown to the farmer's market for tomatoes and peppers. On my way to the bus stop, I saw them. Tasha and Mr. Harrison walking into La Lumière, that fancy place on 5th. They were laughing, holding hands. I told myself it was a work lunch, but something didn't sit right. I took a sip of coffee. It was bitter, good. I sat on a bench across the street. 2 hours, freezing, waiting. When I couldn't stand it anymore, I went inside, pretended I needed the restroom. From the hallway, I could see their table, private corner, candles, wine, and then the kiss. Marcus closed his eyes. I filmed it, I continued. Hands shaking so bad I thought the phone would fall. But I got it, enough to be undeniable. I came home that night and tried to tell you. Tasha was out. I said we needed to talk. You cut me off before I could finish. Said you were tired of my stories about your wife. Said she'd warned you I'd try to break you two up. You went upstairs. Slammed the door. He winced. I remember, he whispered. I saved the video anyway, I said. And later, when she left her phone unlocked on the counter, while she ran to the store, I found the messages. I didn't snoop to be cruel. I was looking for a grocery list she said she'd sent me. But there they were, months of them, telling him she loved him, calling you an idiot, saying she was waiting for the right time to leave, saying I was the obstacle. Marcus stared into his coffee like it held answers. I tried to warn you again, I said. Twice more. You shut me down every time. So I waited, kept quiet, kept cooking, kept cleaning, kept hoping you'd see the truth on your own. He looked up then, eyes red. I almost moved you out, he said. The words landed like stones in still water. I didn't flinch. I'd suspected as much. 6 months ago, he continued, voice barely above a whisper. Tasha gave me an ultimatum. Either you went into assisted living or she was leaving. She said you were suffocating us, that you judged her every move, that she couldn't be happy with you here. I started looking at places, senior communities. I told myself it would be better for you, more activities, people your age. I told myself I was being a good son. He laughed, a broken, bitter sound. I was going to tell you after the holidays, had brochures in my desk drawer, had the speech half written in my head. It's for your own good, Mama. Silence stretched between us. I let it. Finally I spoke. You were going to lie to me, I said. Not a question. He nodded. Tears fell into his coffee. Yes. I looked out the window at the backyard garden. Roses dormant now. Jasmine vines brown against the fence. I'd tended that garden the same way I'd tended him. Every day, no matter what. I spent my whole life making sure you had better than I did, I said softly. Worked 3 jobs when you were little. Skipped meals so you could eat. Borrowed money from neighbors when the hospital bills came. Paid it back over 3 years. Walking to work, eating once a day. I thought when you grew up you'd see it. Value it. Take care of me the way I took care of you. He sobbed then, quiet, deep sobs that shook his shoulders. I didn't see it, he said. I was blind. I let her convince me you were the enemy. I let her turn me against you, and I was going to throw you away to keep her. I reached across the table. For the first time in years, I touched his hand. He gripped mine like a drowning man. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't hurt, I said. It does, deep, but I'm also not going to pretend I didn't see the signs. I saw her change you, little by little. The comments about your job, your clothes, your simple ways, the way she stopped touching you. The late nights, the phone always face down. I saw it all. And I tried to protect you, but you wouldn't let me. He nodded, tears streaming. I know. We sat like that for a long time, hands clasped, coffee cooling, sunlight creeping across the floor. Eventually he spoke again. She's been texting me all night, begging, saying it was a mistake, that Harrison forced her, that she still loves me. I didn't respond right away. What do you want to do? I asked finally. He looked at me, really looked. I don't know, he said. Part of me wants to believe her because it's easier. Part of me knows it's over, and part of me just wants to fix what I broke with you. I squeezed his hand once, then let go. That's your decision, I said, not mine. I'm done trying to save you from choices you keep making. He nodded slowly. I understand. I stood up. I'm going to finish cleaning, I said. Then I'm going for a walk. I need air. He stood too. Can I come with you? I looked at him, my son broken and trying. Not today, I said gently. Today I need to be alone, but tomorrow, maybe. He swallowed hard. Okay? I left him standing in the kitchen. Outside, the December air was sharp and clean. I walked the familiar streets, past Mr. Tate's bakery, past the park, past the church. Everything looked the same. But I wasn't. For the first time in decades, I felt the beginning of something new stirring inside me. Not anger, not even hope yet, just possibility. And for a woman who had spent 70 years living for everyone else, that possibility felt like the biggest thing in the world. The decision didn't come in a single thunderclap moment. It arrived quietly, like the first light of dawn creeping under the blinds, slow, persistent, impossible to ignore once it started. For 3 days after that, Christmas night, and the long morning after talk in the kitchen. I moved through the house like a ghost in my own life. I cooked small meals Marcus barely touched. I folded laundry that wasn't mine. I watered the houseplants Tasha had once called dust collectors. All the while, a single question circled inside my head like a moth around a porch light. What do I want? Not what Marcus needed. Not what the family expected. Not what a good mother should do. Just me, Ida Mae Jenkins, 70 years old. What did I want for whatever time I had left? The answer kept coming back the same way. Space. Quiet. A place that was mine from the moment. I woke until the moment I closed my eyes. A door I could lock without guilt. A kitchen where no one would criticize the seasoning. A life where I wasn't background noise. On the fourth morning, I put on my old wool coat, the one with the patched elbow, and walked the neighborhood. The air was crisp, carrying the faint smell of wood smoke from someone's chimney. I passed Mr. Tate's bakery. He waved through the window like always. The little park with the creaky swings. The church with the Christmas wreath still hanging crooked on the double doors. Then I saw it. A faded for rent sign taped inside the ground floor. Window of a narrow red brick building. I'd walked past hundreds of times. 1 bedroom, $900 a month, utilities extra. I stood on the sidewalk staring at the sign until my fingers went numb from the cold. Then I wrote the number on the back of an old grocery receipt I found in my pocket. That afternoon I called. The landlord, a soft-spoken woman named Mrs. Carter, said I could see it right away. The apartment was on the 2nd floor. No elevator, steep stairs that made my knees complain. But the climb felt like a small price. Inside it smelled faintly of lemon polish and old books. 1 bedroom with a big window facing the street. A bathroom with a deep clawfoot tub. A kitchen barely big enough for one person to turn around in. Living room that doubled as dining space. Worn hardwood floors. Walls the color of weak tea that could use fresh paint. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't big. But it was empty, waiting. Mrs. Carter watched me walk from room to room without speaking. When I came back to the front door, she asked, "You like it?" I nodded. First month and deposit. $1,800 total. I had $2,300 saved in a coffee can under my bed. Every birthday check Marcus ever gave me. Every extra dollar from helping neighbors with ironing or grocery runs. Every penny I'd tucked away just in case. I counted it out right there on her kitchen table while she wrote a simple lease on notebook paper. I signed Ida Mae Jenkins in careful cursive. She handed me the keys. "When can you move in?" "Next week," I said. "If that's all right." She smiled, the first real smile anyone had given me in days. "It's yours." I walked home with the keys jingling in my coat pocket like tiny bells. Marcus was in the living room when I got back. He looked up from his phone, eyes wary. I held up the keys. I found a place. He blinked, once, twice. "You're moving out?" "Yes." He stood slowly, like the floor might give way. "Why now? After everything?" "I thought maybe we could—" I cut him off gently. "This isn't punishment, Marcus, and it isn't running away. It's me choosing something for the first time in 70 years. I need to know who I am when I'm not cooking for you, cleaning for you, waiting for you to see me." His face crumpled. "I was going to ask you to leave anyway," he whispered. "For her, and now you're leaving for you. I deserve that." I stepped closer. "You don't deserve to lose me forever, but you do deserve to learn what it feels like when someone you love sets a boundary." He swallowed hard. "Can I help you move?" "Yes," I said. "I'd like that." The next 7 days passed in a quiet blur. I packed what was truly mine. Clothes that still fit after years of shrinking from stress. The photo albums from when Marcus was small. My mother's thin gold wedding band I hadn't worn since my husband left. A handful of paperback novels with cracked spines. The embroidered handkerchief I made while pregnant. The wooden recipe box filled with cards in my grandmother's handwriting. Everything fit into 3 medium moving boxes from the corner grocery. Marcus carried them downstairs without complaint. He rented a small van even though I said the bus would be fine. When the last box was loaded, he stood in the doorway of my old room. Now just 4 bare walls and a stripped mattress, and looked lost. "I never thought I'd see this day," he said. Neither did I. He helped me carry everything up the narrow stairs to the new apartment. We didn't speak much. Just the soft thud of boxes, the creak of the stairs, the click of the new keys in the lock. When the last box was inside, he lingered in the doorway. "It's nice," he said, looking around. "Cozy." "It's mine." He nodded. "I'll go then. Unless you need anything else." I hesitated. "Stay for coffee?" His eyes lit up like a child's. We sat at the tiny table. I made instant coffee because I hadn't bought a pot yet. We drank it black and silent for a while. Finally he spoke. I started therapy yesterday, first session. I raised an eyebrow. Good. I told the therapist about the broom, about believing Tasha over you for years, about the apartment brochures I hid in my desk. He looked down at his mug. She said I have to stop apologizing long enough to change the behavior. Smart woman. He gave a small laugh. I filed for divorce this morning. Tasha's lawyer called already. She wants the house. I told him she can have it. I don't want to live there anymore. I reached across the table and touched his hand, just once, lightly. You're starting over too? Yeah, scary as hell. It is. He looked at me with something close to wonder. You're not scared? I'm terrified, I admitted. But I'm more afraid of staying the same. He stayed another hour. We talked about small things, his job interviews, the weather, whether I needed help hanging curtains. When he left, he hugged me at the door. Long, tight, no words. After he was gone, I stood in the middle of the empty living room and turned a slow circle. This was it, my life. Just me. The first night I slept badly. The mattress was thinner than I was used to. Street noise drifted up through the window, car horns, distant sirens, laughter from the bar 2 blocks away. But when I woke at dawn, there was no one to tiptoe around, no one to cook for, no one to disappoint. I made tea, sat on the windowsill with my knees drawn up like a girl, watched the city wake up. For the first time in decades, the day belonged to me. Weeks turned into months. I met Ruby in the park one Tuesday, gray hair and a neat bun, feeding pigeons from a paper bag. We talked for an hour. She'd lost her husband 5 years earlier, lived alone in a studio 6 blocks away. She invited me to Tuesday matinees at the old cinema downtown. $1 tickets, senior discount. We went. We cried at the sad ones, laughed at the silly ones, shared popcorn. I started cleaning houses again. 3 mornings a week for Mrs. Langley, a 92-year-old widow who still insisted on ironing her own pillowcases. She paid me cash and always slipped an extra 20 for the bus fare. I didn't need the money as badly as I needed the rhythm, the work, the feeling of being useful on my own terms. Marcus visited every other Sunday. He brought flowers at first, gilt flowers. Then he brought stories about his new job at a smaller logistics firm, about therapy, about learning to sit with discomfort instead of running from it, about Dawn, the woman he met in accounting, quiet, kind, no games. I met her 6 months later, Sunday brunch at my place. She brought homemade cinnamon rolls and asked about my recipe box. She listened when I spoke. She didn't interrupt. She looked at Marcus the way I always hoped someone would, with steady affection, not possession. 1 year to the day after that Christmas night, I sat on a park bench with Ruby. The roses were blooming again, pink and red and impossible. Across the lawn, I saw Tasha, alone, hair shorter, shoulders hunched. No makeup, no red dress. Our eyes met for a second. She looked away first. I felt nothing. Not hate, not triumph, just calm. Ruby squeezed my hand. You did good, Ida. I smiled. I did, didn't I? That night, I stood in front of the mirror in my tiny bathroom. Gray hair, deep lines around my eyes and mouth, hands still rough from decades of work. But my eyes were clear, bright, alive. I spoke to my reflection, quiet, like a promise. You waited a long time, but you got here. I turned off the light, climbed into bed. The street noise was softer now, familiar. I closed my eyes and, for the first time since, I was a young woman with dreams bigger than my circumstances. I fell asleep, smiling. I was home, not the house I'd cleaned for others. The home I'd finally built for myself. And after 71 years, that was more than enough. It was everything,